Parks and Recreation. It's been
Since
sitting there
May.
for like 6 months apparently.
Well, it was, she signed it on May 6th.
I mean, it's been like in the process
Yeah.
for a while.
So does it need to be signed immediately?
Well, the faster it gets signed, that means she knows she has a contract, and Laura's given her a whole bunch of information. This is the kind of website that's not on it because there's no contract.
I'll just ask Peter.
Uh-huh. That'd be good, get it back to Renee and Laura, tell Laura that it's done.
That's coming out of both of their
And boom,
budgets, right?
yeah, and it's this year, actually was last year, remember?
That's coming out of Jill's budget and Tom's budget.
Sorry?
That's coming out of Jill's budget and Tom's.
And Tom's.
I don't
Has it
know.
already been authorized to
Yeah,
sign?
that was
Yeah.
authorized.
Yes, we
The
did.
supervisor's already been authorized to sign it?
Yes.
If it's already gone through? I'm just moving chairs because this won't go up any higher.
This one?
You wanna sit on the
This
floor?
one
Won't.
Oh,
I need it to go up higher, you just,
and you need it up higher,
yeah,
Sarah?
that one I could.
Sorry I'm late. You held us up by 4 minutes, by the way.
Duly noted. What's to say?
No, duly noted. Motion to call the meeting to order. For the public, I am the acting supervisor, and the town supervisor is currently on a long planned vacation with his family. For the sake of the meeting, I will conduct the meeting as the chair, but I do not have a vote. So therefore, we'll now move on. Any discussion? All right. Review of the agenda. Anybody has items for the agenda?
I'm gonna start with, the minutes for August 1st for, the workshop. We had made a motion in here, check the tape to make sure. In the minutes, it looks like it says,
Sorry, one more time, what's the minutes you're looking at?
Is that for that
Planning?
community building, Beth?
yeah.
Yeah, we already took care of it. That's
Oh.
being amended, yeah. Yeah,
Okay,
you guys can just let me know when you read the drafts ahead of time.
okay, oh, okay.
Yeah, I'd already,
I'll do that.
Jim and I talked this afternoon.
Yeah, the motion was.
Becky wasn't clear, so I'm gonna ask when you
And
guys.
all it was for the,
RFQ.
yeah, okay, if you took care of that.
Yep.
then
I did.
I'll hit that.
Thank you.
Sure we took care of
It was just the RFQ for the community center was not the same as what was in the workshop minutes. Becky misunderstood what you guys were
that.
talking
Kind
about.
of confused it with the grant money.
Right.
210,000.
Right. But that was also on the agenda.
You said,
Yeah,
I know what you're talking about.
That
but-
wasn't what the motion was. The motion was for an RFQ for a community center.
Oh,
That topic of discussion, Jim said, was something else.
Right here,
Yes. I wasn't here, so
to
Becky.
request an RFQ to explore options for the dormitory sponsored community center upgrade.
Right.
No.
That's what Becky put, but that's not what Jim and Beth said is what you discussed.
Actually, Nathan made the motion, I seconded it. It was to request an RFQ to explore options for a community center. That's what the motion was. I don't, this kind of got mixed in with it.
Okay.
That
Yeah.
sounds correct, yeah.
Yeah, I listened to the, just to make sure I got it right.
Yeah, they got it straightened out. I think the other topic was just general discussion.
Yeah, that was kind of a FYI.
Right, right, and I think she got confused as to what you guys were talking about, because they both had community center.
So you go for the community center, right?
Yeah. Easy.
It worked well, I'll get that fixed tomorrow.
Anything else on the agenda you want to discuss?
Bev, anything else?
Yeah.
Or if we want to go in order, I don't care.
Yeah,
discuss that at all, or is there any reason to discuss the vacation homes item?
And
I think there's some things that need to be taken care of in that draft, and I'm, in my calendar,
I don't
our
have.
first meeting is the 6th of September. That's the day after Labor Day. And, school isn't in session yet, so I'm a little bit nervous about setting a public hearing for that day. I think there's gonna be people that are here on the island, that'd be vacation.
well, they start the next day, so they'd have to be back,
No,
right?
no,
What day?
they wouldn't have to be back.
The sixth. Oh, Labor Day is the fifth, what day do they start school?
The day after Labor Day.
Day after Labor Day,
No,
yeah.
the kids don't start the day after Labor Day, do they?
Yes, they do this year.
So I would think that would be okay.
Well, anyway, I just think it's too early.
Cause we have
People
one,
coming back
we have
from
3
vacation.
weeks
Mhm.
till then.
Just
to
saying it's too
put
early,
it on
that's
the
all.
website. Let everybody look at it.
Upstairs.
Well, the other thing is I'd like to ask the Parks Maintenance, award bid parking lot extension for parks. Maintenance, somebody, thinking about that. That's all. Just what's in the packet.
It's a parking lot extension, money's been in the capital reserve fund,
And
and,
we're just gonna award the bid tonight.
yeah, they've got the three bids, and they're suggesting we award the lowest bidder.
No,
Seems reasonable.
this is the parking lot behind the building. The
Right.
parking lot in front of the building, is for parking lot in the back of the
Parking lot behind the building,
Behind the
because
building.
there's not enough room for both the maintenance equipment, trucks, and the people who are working there.
Okay.
We thought that those people that were working there could park in the parking lot out in the park and walk to work.
Okay.
It's like a quarter mile. He wants to put it in, the money's in the capital reserve, who might say something?
Well, I'd like to understand it more. I know we already we already paid, 30 for another parking lot that wasn't originally in the plan, now we're talking another 30, do I have that right?
That was a road that connected the Parks building to the park.
Right.
So instead of riding around the road, the down road, this connects it to the back. That's what that extra 30 was for, under the original plan.
So can you explain it one more time? What is this needed for? It's for employee parking,
For, yeah, with all the equipment they have,
right?
trucks, tractors, trailers, whatever, plus the employees, there's not enough room back there. So they wanna extend an area to make it bigger to be able to park things on. Summer's been okay this summer, they might park their stuff on the grass,
Yeah.
but that's not normally gonna be the case in fall and spring of many years.
I think I'd wanna look at it before I mean, did we know this was coming up?
He talked to the engineering department about it and said,
Yeah.
how do I go about this? And they put together a specification and he sent it out to, I think he's got it in here in the thing, he sent it out to
Yeah.
multiple, where is it?
For bids, right?
They sent it out to 6 contractors, they got 3 bids back, which is the requirement, and the low bid is Amherst paving.
Well, I guess
It's pretty
I
reasonable.
guess my question is, what generated the bidding process to begin with? Where, should the town be notified just so that we can kind of look at, understand the business case, and then say, let's go for it? Or were we involved in that? Or not really? Because now we're being sought to approve this expense. And I understand people may want, but is it really a need?
It's definitely a need.
Well, I hear you saying that, I haven't seen it, I don't know what the business case is, and it concerns me a little bit, right? I mean,
know
if
that-
this is, if there's an urgent need, it would've been nice to kind of have it ahead of time, so we could have investigated it, you know? That's all.
Then what are you suggesting we do with that?
Well, I think I need to look into it a little bit further.
So you're gonna table it?
I think I would want to, yes. my question is there an urgency at this point? Can it wait 2 weeks?
I don't know the answer to that question.
3 weeks? That's my.
I don't know what Amherst Paving's schedule is, I don't know, if they say, you know, okay, we'll get you in here, and then when you don't give them that, they say, well, we can't get you until next year. I don't know the answer to that.
Yeah, I need to know what the business case is. I would probably do a motion to table it until we understand better what the business case is for this paving.
Do you have paperwork for it? Do we have the bid?
It's in here.
Yeah, it's in the packet.
I don't think it's gonna be drawn in, but-
Yeah. it's in the capital reserve.
Even when I look at the size of the building, yeah, I mean, is there sufficient parking? Is it just an inconvenience?
Oh,
Yeah. Right. Is that what it is, an inconvenience?
no, it's just, there's not enough room.
Well, I was looking at the, and there really isn't a lot of room in the front where it's already got parking.
Yeah, the
It's
front,
really not.
the front was made like that on purpose, because the front is only for, the person in the office, Tom, and the visitor.
Yeah.
That's all that really is supposed to be for. We don't expect very many people to be coming to the Parks Department on a regular basis. So we put a couple of spaces up there, one of which had to be handicapped. So the spaces up front are strictly like for the public and for the office. The space in the back is the maintenance area space where you park your trucks, your trailers, your tractors, whatever's being used that day, so you don't come in and out of the garage, in and out of the garage, and then workers. That kind of place to park too.
Currently, the backside of the property is already been stoned, so it isn't like just nothing there. It's stone, and they're parking there already. And all the equipment is actually parked on the stones, and the equipment there is actually going out the backside to the park, so they're not going out the front, they're going out the back.
Right.
So most of the stuff is parked in that area back in the back of the building.
So if it's on gravel, then I'm gonna question even more. I mean, what's the need to actually pave it if it's on gravel? I don't see that as a problem.
I'm
For plowing purposes.
I'm not sure if it's gravel.
Well, during the
I'm
winter,
positive it's gravel.
there's not much
The last time I was there,
involved there.
I remember trailers and a few vehicles being parked on the grass. Now, I might be wrong, Jim, so.
I thought there was a gravel run there.
There's a gravel driveway.
Yeah.
That goes from the parking lot all the way to the back of the park, yes.
I mean, we have other plans that we consider priorities. I just wanna make sure that before we approve this, that this is a true need.
I think the other thing
As opposed to a nice to have.
I think the other thing is that, I gotta read the official coming out of
I didn't get much out of it.
the capital reserve. So what that was is, there's money left over from different projects. And it goes into a reserve account, and you can only use it for capital expenditures. And Pam said, when we built the building, Pam said, Tom, you need to come up with a list of things that you need to put in the building, to outfit the building and anything else you need. So Tom came up with a list of this, and I believe the parking lot was part of it. And he told Pam, and Pam took that amount of money and put it over there to pay for those things. And the rest of the money, I'm not sure if she's used it yet, but she may have used it to pay down some of the other debt we have.
Yeah.
Exactly right. I talked to Pam about it earlier.
I don't know, what's everybody else think as far as this goes, this topic?
I think it's needed, I mean, I don't know that I looked at it, but eventually you're gonna end up doing it. The money's in the capital reserve account right now, so,
But it's not dedicated to this project.
no, but
Right. I mean, it could
you're
go
gonna end
to
up putting
many
it in
others.
anyway at some point, so
Yeah.
you can do it now or you can do it later, it's gonna happen now this year, next year, and the year after.
I'd like to be better convinced that it's a
Well, then you
need
gotta go
and
look
not a
at it,
nice
if
to
you're
have,
not
yeah.
comfortable with it, you gotta go look at it.
That's my preference, so.
Well, it's John's, project between Luge and Carl.
Yeah.
He might better fill you in.
And if we move through the agenda, we can go tonight.
Pete coming?
He will not be here till 7, so usually it's gonna be 7:15, but it's 7 today. I thought we may have more to discuss between the tourist homes, if there was any questions, and as well the like that, because he has some input on that one, for some questions we have, or at least I have.
Beverly, you done with yours? Okay.
The 8,500, I think we wanted to discuss that too. The authorization to transfer the use of trust and agency parkland funds in the amount of 8,500.
Okay. That was already done. We did that at the previous town board, when we were looking at this pavilion project, we needed to come up with an estimate of what this building was gonna be, that said everything else.
Yeah, I found it
Did we vote on it?
No, you did.
Previous board.
in
Okay.
October 2000.
So there's not even a vote there?
No.
Yeah, so,
Okay.
in October 2015, they voted on the workshop for the 8,500 to hire a consultant and do apparently design. And there is a design. When I went in and talked to Lynn, she said, I asked her about it, she said, and she finally found it online because the folder that has everything in it is missing apparently. So she didn't have the designs in the office, but she did send them to me electronically. I had some other questions that I asked her about. She said it's in her notes, it's in the folder. You know, when we talked about it, it was like it was a new project coming out that you guys had kind of kicked around last year. I had no idea that you'd already approved $8,500 for a consultant or a design. I don't know why that you just didn't lay it all on the table or bring the design.
Well, that,
I saw the design was done in April.
think about this now. All the things that the town was doing before you became a council person, would you expect all that's been done over the last 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, to be brought up to speed in some fashion? That was never done for me when I came on the board.
I would
I had
expect
to learn,
in the last 8 months, if you guys, from the email that went around from Lynn, if she wanted, that money taken care of, the $7,500 out of the $8,500 to be paid, which we're gonna vote on tonight. And if we needed to move this project forward so you could have a shovel in the ground by September, October. This is a project that just got on our table. I would expect that since when I found out who the designer was, I went online. The rendition was online as of January 2016. When I got the designs from Lynn, finally, those designs had been done April of this year. Yeah, I expect that something that you wanted to move forward, that you would have brought it all in and said, hey, this is what we look at, this is what's been approved. The project's not approved as yet, because we were waiting, you know, to me, it was put on the table, it's like, we're gonna discuss it, talk it over, send out bids so that we can get the bids back and then discuss capital projects, whether it's in the budget, all that sort of stuff. Yeah.
That's where we're at right now.
Yeah, but it
It's
was
going
all
out for
already
bid.
there.
But
Excuse me, let me finish. It was all already there.
Right now, why would you stop that? The most important thing is the bids that are coming in and what you do with the next bids. Right now, there's nothing committed to this.
Why would I
So-
stop what? I'm just
Well,
telling you that I would have appreciated being,
What's there to
Brought
tell you
up
though?
to
I mean,
speed.
Until the
the
plans come
designs
in.
are already, the plans are in.
There's no design, there's 3 design options out there that we don't.
This is what I was given.
We have, and there's 3 options out there. We have no idea which one of those are gonna come in at what price. So until then, what are we gonna talk about?
There's a lot to talk about. And
Until
then I got together because, I was sent an email from a Little Leaguer saying that, email was sent out and that they were told that there were,
That was me, and I did call them all, because this is something they want, and when they called me up and said, how come it's not moving forward? I told them, this is something you gotta get involved with, talk to the board members. And I believe one of them called you, and you met with them, thank you for doing that.
I did call
I think
him.
you need to call them too. And I think
But
Nathan needs
here,
to call 'em.
here's where I'm a little bit of a problem, Chris. Hold on. They were told that roadblocks were being put up in the way.
At the last meeting, you said you didn't want.
No,
the
no,
project.
wait a minute, let me finish.
Well, I'm not saying.
If you'd have brought out a plan,
Don't
and you would have
have,
told
that
us.
plan means nothing
Yeah, but
until the
the-
numbers come in.
Chris, the project is way further down the road than
No,
we
it's
were
not.
led to believe.
It's not. You guys could kill this thing tomorrow when the prices come in and you say you don't want it. Until those numbers come in, I
I
may
could have
not
been
want
filled
it.
in better, that's all. That's all I'm
Sorry.
asking for,
I mean,
is
that
to be
was
a little bit
something that
more
was-
upfront.
That's been going on for 2 years and the community's
I know.
driving this thing.
Okay,
I'm not
2
driving it.
years, and I think in 8 months, you could have
Well,
updated us,
you know
that's all
what,
I'm
the
saying.
first 2 years, we tried to find creative ways to do this so that we wouldn't have to go through the normal bidding process in this. And we ran into roadblocks every step along the way. So we ended up going the formal route that we normally do when you build a project, a government project. So it took a long time to get there, but that's where it's just a plan, there's nothing, when that comes in, then you'll have all kinds of say on it. Everybody will.
It would have been nice to have been updated, because it's easier to buy into something and to support it, Chris, when you know what's going on. When a bill came in and we didn't even know it had been approved, we had no idea, I had to dig through the minutes to find
Up
out.
until that, have you ever met with any of the little leagues? Have you ever met with any, so how do you know what their needs are? I mean, that's something you do, I mean, I can't tell you go meet with these people, you should go meet with them. Meet with all the leagues.
We
You know-
expect you when you work on a project, now, come on, Chris.
No, I'm sorry.
I'm sorry, you
I'm not
should've-
apologizing.
So
We
here's
should be,
where
we're
my,
Numbers come
looking
in,
at
you can decide.
$600,000.
No, you're not. The basic plan is $150.
I'm down.
And who's saying, okay, so 600,000, I don't want that. I'm
Listen.
telling you right now, if that's the case, I don't want it.
The other
We're
thing,
not
when I
talking
met
about
with
that.
him, is that they have some really in-need things that need to be done. So I think that somewhere along the way, we need to discuss that, so that, no matter where this project ends up, that we take care of some of those in-needs.
Who do you talk to?
Huh?
Who do you talk to?
Don Scalise?
So that's Little League Baseball.
Yeah.
So Little League Baseball has needs.
Yeah.
You can hit- This is what you need
But
to
that's
come,
what-
this is what you need to come and be familiar with.
Okay.
That is not for Little League Baseball. Little League Baseball will benefit from that, but that's for our recreation department.
Good.
That's for Little League
Good to hear that.
Baseball. That's for soccer.
That's
That's for
everybody.
football. That's for the community, hopefully, if we decided to rent, to use as a picnic facility, as a reunion facility, whatever the case may be. It is not a Little League Baseball
Good.
thing. So they may have
But
things that they
that's
wanna
where
do,
the
and they
emails
may
were
say
going
to
to.
you, we wanna do these things instead of a pavilion.
Mm-hmm.
They always wanna do things. You'll be familiar with Little League Baseball as you get on the
Football
board and
does
stand
too.
for it
They're
longer and
putting up
longer.
They're putting up their building and they want electrical in there, so if you're doing this, it's a good time to do all of it.
Mhm.
And that's something that our employees could do. They could trench that.
The reason I talked to Don's Police is he's the one that I talked to that had gotten the email, so I was,
I asked them to call rather than Mike and.
Mhm.
okay. So, all I'm saying is, when I met with him, he told me there's a list of things that are a big need. And I noticed with with the 3 options that he gave us, that in there is a roof for the concession stand. Is that
That's-
Little Leagues or not?
That's got
No,
money.
that's the town of Grand Islands.
and the
It's
money's
got a
in-
big sign that says Little League.
Yeah, of course it does.
Yeah. Of
money's
course,
in the
but it
budget
does.
for that.
Of course it does, but, so that's nice to know. So the concession stand, anyone can use that too, not just Little League?
Well, in a way. There's a contract for the use of the concession stand,
Okay.
and you rent it out on a basis,
Day-to-day
whatever that
basis,
basis could be. It could be a daily basis, could be whatever. Little League has had it for the last, since the park has been built and that concession stand
Okay,
has been
so
built.
it appeared on the spreadsheet that you gave us, that the concession stand and the roof and some electric problems they have is connected, is the same project though, right?
No, it's
Just-
not. It
just the
doesn't
roof.
have to be.
The
Just the
roof is
roof?
already, the roof money is already there.
Yeah, I heard that.
So that's really not part of it, but because if you mobilize somebody and they build a pavilion, and they're gonna put a roof on the pavilion, if you haven't put the roof, the shingles on the concession stand at the same time, it's cheaper, so you put the whole
So the
project together.
numbers, actually, for the final thing, you would subtract that because that money's separate.
Well, yeah, if you looked at the spreadsheet, you'll see in there, concession stand roof, $30,000 or
Yeah, I
some,
saw that,
some number
yeah.
like that. Yeah, so if you subtract that out of the bottom line price, so the pavilion is actually $30,000 less.
So could we, this is just a question, not an opinion, just a question. So could those be two projects then? So you take care of the roof, and that's not connected
No,
to the
yeah,
cost
it
of the
could be.
other?
But it got delayed last year for this specific reason.
So you were putting
We
it
were going to
together?
put this whole thing together and get it up. And so we delayed doing that route to keep the cost down the best we could.
Like,
So my question is, so this 8,500, we voted on it back in October. Should that not have showed up in the budget, which would have avoided all this discussion? Why is it after the budgeting process was completed, not baked in there so that we accounted for that in terms of the tax cap and everything else?
It's,
I don't know the answer to that one.
we were just told that that money could be used for parks and rec projects.
The general fund?
No,
Probably
the
because,
trust
We shouldn't be using.
it's not coming out of general
Trusted
fund, Mike,
agency.
it's coming out of the trusted agency account. We've explained this before, and I'll try to get it again. When subdivisions have gone in historically, they have been required to offer parkland, recreation land, as part of the subdivision, X amount of green
That's
space.
not what this is saying, though.
Yes,
This
it is.
saying general fund miscellaneous revenue.
You have to take it out of one, go ahead.
It's in
That's
trust
what
and
you do
agency,
now.
but you can't spend it out of trust and agency. It needs to be transferred to general fund to be spent.
Right.
So it's calling for a transfer of funds, and that's gonna be on the agenda to move the funds from trust and agency to the general fund.
So let's just talk about that a little further. In terms of how we're managing the tax cap and everything else, if we know that we're gonna be spending this 8,500, shouldn't that money be transferred already and accounted for, or how does that
Then it
work?
would affect the tax cap. It's the trust and agency is outside of your tax cap. It's a trust.
Above and beyond,
It's
and
above and
we're able
beyond.
to spend that with no limitation.
Correct.
Okay.
So, and this bill isn't showing up against that, it's just, it's
So
gonna
that
be
was
a
my
crossed out
question.
debt, yeah.
Okay.
It's 75, not 85.
So,
Yeah, because she said there's more coming in though for like what the bids, that's something.
so if we had moved it into the general fund at the time of the vote,
It would have hit your.
it would have
your cap.
affects the, okay, got it. Just still learning the process there. Thanks.
So do you have any idea when the bids and, so, right, this is one design, so there's 3 additional ones, I don't know which one this one is, but there's 3 more, because there was 4 altogether.
The design is all the same, it's about how much you're gonna do.
Yeah.
And, for instance, it started off with the grandiose plan.
Okay.
Let's match the roof on the Miracle League Field. It's a standing seam metal roof. So let's put a standing seam metal roof on this building, including the concession stand. Let's put garage doors in. Let's put end walls in. Let's enclose it. Let's put in a small kitchen, just like electrical to plug in a refrigerator and a sink, no stove and all that other kind of stuff. Electric lights, heater to heat it in the wintertime. So that's kind of the story. So Jim Churchill drew that all up and came in, and when we saw the bill, we went, or the estimate I meant, we went, well, that's a little bit way too much.
So each plan is stripped down a little differently.
Yeah. So you go from standing metal seam roof down to an asphalt shingle roof. No garage doors, or you know what?
Electric.
I don't know if I
and,
have it in front of me or not, but that's in a spreadsheet that tells you the different options of what is
Right.
not being put in and what the cost savings of that do. The bare bones project is the slab, the posts,
Roof.
the roof, and asphalt shingles. That's it.
Now,
And,
Darren-
I'm sorry, and stub in for any kind of plumbing or electrical, because you're already doing the digging in the ground, you just
The
gotta
thought is that
stick the pipe.
we could have our employees install the garage doors and do that at a later date.
Don said that you mentioned something about cutting in half the size of it, but I think if you're gonna do this, that you'd wanna stick with the
I don't think
regular
there was,
size.
I don't think there's been a
Oh, then
discussion
you
about cutting it in
misunderstood
half.
that. Okay, so, because I think that if we're gonna do this, then we should do the,
That's the size of the
Yeah.
Miracle Leagues.
Yeah.
This one here's the size of Miracle.
Mhm.
it looks about the same size.
That was it on that topic that I was looking around at. Pam's not here, right? So I think we'll have to have the budget discussion some other time.
Okay, we're talking, no, we can go to, are you done with the agenda?
Oh, agenda. Yeah, so the other one is, when Peter gets here, I'd like us to restart an open public just to talk about the bike path. And a few questions. One is, there's the right of way that's 10 foot. We've confirmed in the entire length of the 8 miles, it's 10 foot.
Is that an executive session?
No, it's not.
No, that'll be open discussion. But Peter, is looking into what it would take to deed that over. And, so he's done some research and he's gonna bring that information. Hopefully he'll have some kind of information he can provide regarding that.
Okay.
So that's one thing. Outside of Peter, I think we can have a little bit more discussion here, is, so, in terms of the bike path, one thing I didn't really fully appreciate was, this bike path could actually go anywhere on the island, as long as it's a connection from Niagara Falls to Buffalo. It can be located along the boulevard, it can be on the parkway, it can be here, there, and everywheres. After spending a good part of the day on Saturday, on the East River, or sorry, the West River Parkway, and talking actually to bikers going by, people walking, et cetera. In particular, bikers, one of the things I heard consistently was, we're bookended at either end by bridges that are extremely unfriendly to bikers. And that most bikers avoid that, so the connection is tough, it's a tenuous one at best. So really, the bikers we're probably most targeting are people that are throwing bikes on their cars and driving them over here. The connection is more of a broken link than a connection, so that's one thing I learned.
I think you really need to get a clarification on that, because this is Greenway money, and Greenway is commissioned along the river, it's part of the LWRP.
Okay.
The boulevard's not, nor the other lane on Grand Island.
Okay, so I might need clarification on that.
Correct.
So, but I was hearing and I saw some documentation
Okay.
that suggested that even in the information that they sent to me this past weekend, it said it could go anywheres.
Okay,
Now, I
you
don't know
check
how
that.
legally accurate that is, but
Okay.
that was coming from the state.
You really need to check that.
And I have not talked to Mark Thomas about it.
Okay.
I
All right.
intend to.
Because it's under the Greenway, and Greenway is driven by the LWRP, Local Waterfront Revitalization Plan.
Right.
And currently, the plan only covers the shores and the creeks, but it doesn't cover the highways or anything through the center of town. So, and I think part of the documents that were necessary to approve this was the LWRP, which Mary sits on the commission
Yeah.
for Greenway.
Okay.
So I would have you check
So
that.
I gotta confirm that. And I don't know if anyone else has heard anything different as far as whether it could have gone on the boulevard as a thought?
If it could have gone on the boulevard, that's the presentation that would have had to been made to the Greenway Commission for them to deem it consistent or not. They
Okay.
could have,
So it's
because they
probably
deem an
not an
awful lot of things consistent that you might think are not consistent.
Right.
They might have done that, but that's not what was presented to them.
Okay, so,
And
so the
then-
only reason why I'm asking, I mean, if I were to think of the ideal link, it would go right down the center of the island, go by all our businesses, offer that as an option, as well as it would also address some safety issues there that really don't exist on East River or West Park. I mean, if you look at the service road, it's one of the safest bike path roads that we have on the island. It's the least trafficked. It's a beautiful place to bike ride. Right now, in terms of a dying need for a bike path, that's probably very low on the list relative to Stony Point, Grand Island Boulevard. I mean, a number of roads where there's some real
But
issues.
that's not what this project's about.
Okay, so if that's off the table, that's off the table.
And I met with, Mark this afternoon, and to catch up with what they're doing, what they're saying. And when we got all our information that they sent us, comments and whatnot. One of the things that over the weekend, I'll give you the information too, I read over the weekend was the laws and regulations for state bike paths using these funding and federal funding. And one of the things that I asked them and they pointed out to me as well, so I copied it down, is the Americans with Disability Act. So we definitely, there are very specific laws, rules, regulations about where the path can be and how it can be done. I know you're talking about, that's why I went in to talk to them today, you're talking about removing rails along, if it's put along the pathway, he said that will not happen since the Skajackwada, everything's changed, rules and regulations are different, but a lot of it is centered around the American Disability Act. He also pointed out to me that we're concentrating on this is bikes, 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 and it's not, it's a mixed use path. So it'll be babies, elderly, handicapped, families, kids on tricycles, whatnot. So
Right.
there's more use to it than just speed bikes. Now, so a lot of this stuff will come into play. That'll determine rails. Actually, if it's on the other side of the parkway, where you access into the parkway would have to be red lights in order for people to get safely across a 55-mile-an-hour highway. So, and when I asked them
There's
that
a
question.
number of places, numerous places, including at Buckhorn, where the current bike path goes across the fast speed areas.
Yes, but if you're gonna have the bike path on the other side, I'm not disputing that, I'm telling you that I asked the question. If you're gonna have it on the other side, that wherever there's a crossway where people would go, ride their bikes coming down Whitehaven Road, or if they're gonna park in one of the various parking lots, which I guess they removed quite a few, so you're probably looking at wherever those are. There would have to be a red light, and it can't even be, a four-way stop sign, it has to be a red light. And it can be one of those where you punch it when you come along, it only works when somebody hits it. So that was, and that, when I talked to them, they said that was one of the biggest determining factors, and why they went away from that, is the safety factor. Safety, 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 and if you go through this, and I have another booklet that I read over the weekend, that is their top concern, is safety of children,
Absolutely.
handicapped.
If I were to
families.
rate safety-wise and rate them in order, I would say the safest would be not congesting up the residential service road with 1,500 to 2,000 cars more per day. I mean, to me, that's the number one risk, is adding that traffic to that service road.
They also,
The second least risk would be either path 1 or path 2, or option 1 or option 2 with the guardrails and everything else.
yeah, if, option 1 or 2,
Because
there's no way, and not only there will there be guardrails on the one side, they're looking at guardrails in several areas on the other side because of the embankment. So, but he said wherever there'd be crossing, there would definitely be
Right,
lights.
so just back on the guardrails. So we're not really talking option 1 or option 2, we're really talking option 4, which is in close proximity and or on the side of the current, if we can resolve the legal issues, which Peter's left me some optimism that we might be able to. If we can deed back over or what have you, that 10-foot, it'll be on the service road. And there's not currently guardrails, there wouldn't be that in that
And you
case.
have-
And in most cases, you'd be, if you're at the 10 feet of the service road, you'd be, in most cases, well over 100 feet away from the parkway or more.
Oh,
And in
that's so
most
sad.
cases, there's a berm, and in most cases, there's also a ditch that's pretty respectable. You wouldn't even make it to the berm because you'd be buried in the ditch before you ever made it over to the service road.
Okay. For the service road, if you're gonna widen it, first of all, what he said was that doesn't work for a walking path. You'd have to have at least 5 feet on each side, not on one side, on each side. widen it, and they didn't feel that was feasible. Of course, it's a town road too, so that's part of the issues. You'd have to have the bike path so that you're going both each way. The traffic has to go with traffic, especially for bikes. It would have to be even wider to accommodate walkers, so you're getting away from actually having a multi-use path.
Tonawanda has
Every
a
one of
path
the
that's-
bike paths are that
It's
way.
got a bike lane, a walking lane, and a walking lane. And I don't know how wide theirs are. It's the whole length of the river though.
I mean, we're talking
Going
about the
each way.
same design as the Robert Moses, all the way to Lewiston, from here to Lewiston, and from here to Buffalo. Really, it's the same design as what we're talking about. So I'm not sure where that's coming from, but why would this be unique relative to the
This
20 to
town-
30
well, that-
miles of
First
the
of all-
connect, I mean, it's a connection of the 20 to 30 miles we'd be
He
trying
not
to
only
make it
said
consistent.
that, but if you go through the book, the law and the DOT and stuff, so that's, and eventually DOT comes in and rules a lot of that.
Yeah.
He said, so, but I was looking at all the options that everybody was talking about, that option, which
All I'm
they,
suggesting is it would be consistent with exactly what we're bookended by for tens of miles on
and a,
either
and a
side.
lot of he says, and what may have been okay when they put in some other bike path 10, 15 years ago is not gonna apply today.
Brand new.
Yeah, so the other option I asked him about was medium, and he said that was totally not feasible because of how it goes up and down for handicaps and all
I just went over it, I just traveled the whole thing. It is flat, I went almost 100 yards at a time and noted the terrain, and it's flat, it's already graded, it's like this, it's as straight as flat as a
They've
pancake.
done all the,
There's like a
engineering.
couple of, yeah, when you read it, they're talking about steep embankments, there's not one. Not even at 6 Mile Creek is there an embankment. So what they
Oh, the
did
steep
was the
embankments they're
engineering
talking about
on,
is on the other side.
yeah, only on option one, which is between the river and the road, are there any steep embankments or anything that's obstacles? If we did the path like what I'm suggesting on option 4, there's almost not even a tree in 8 miles. All the trees are in ideal
you
locations
mean on the town road?
along the service road, yes.
And he's
You're
talking
saying
about what I
on the
said.
side of the
I
town.
mean, that's
Yeah,
a
10
lot of
feet-
pavement
10
that you
feet
gotta
off
put
of
in
the
front
service
of, right
road.
directly in front of houses, but, you know, but from what conversation I had when I suggested that, they said it's not an option, they're not gonna do that. And that if they have walkers and elderly and handicap and all that other stuff that are in state law quite
I think
clearly.
it's a miscommunication. What do you mean by 10 feet off the service road? Do you mean there's a grass gap between the service road and the bike path?
So here's the service road, just to draw a picture. Here's a service road, the right of way is 10 foot,
Right,
and then the bike path would start there.
that's what I thought you meant.
Right.
It's not the shoulder of the road, it's
No.
separated from the road, so it's
And
not
then,
an issue
and
for.
then in most
walkers or
cases, there's
strollers.
actually a berm.
Right, yeah, I know, like, I
And
just wanted to
there's
get the
also a
first part,
ditch.
Mike. I
Right.
just wanted
No,
to
no.
get the first part, because I think I was thinking you're talking about the shoulder of the road.
That's what I thought,
No.
because I asked
So we
them,
wanted
they
to
said
get
that's
that
out of
straight,
the.
that's
Okay, I didn't catch that was
No.
what was going on. Yeah.
But the other one, they had, I'd asked about that too, and they said, it's, the inclines will not suit the handicap.
There
They
is
would
no-
have to real,
I-
if you walked it, there it is.
I not
And
only
going
walked
down
it,
this
I
way, it
took
really is.
hours on it, Saturday.
Well, that's up
It
to the
is flat.
engineers to determine, but
I'm
they
sure it
said
is,
no.
so,
It's,
where are we going with this discussion? That's
Well,
what I
I
wanna
think
find
we're,
out.
I think we're just
I just didn't know where
trying
you
to
wanted,
discuss it further.
yeah,
Okay,
I didn't know.
But
whether
I
you were
looked
gonna-
at
One
some
of the things,
valuable
Mike,
information.
I wanna discuss this as much as you wanna discuss it, you know that.
Yeah.
My problem is, and it's been brought to my attention before, it's not on here.
Well,
So
Well,
when I
that's
try,
on the
so when I
agenda.
try to discuss something,
No,
it's
no,
not
no,
on
no,
here.
It's on the agenda.
It's on the
still on the
agenda.
That's
agenda.
where you brought it up.
The town
So,
board
so I
agenda.
think that's acceptable. We can cover the agenda, right?
This is
Well,
under his
I
item
guess
for
my
the town board
question
agenda.
is ultimately, what
It's,
is it?
So it's agenda review,
Yes.
Yes.
okay,
That's why I didn't put it on twice.
That's all right.
Because it was all.
we got it,
Right.
that's
And I had
apologize,
asked-
I'll fix that for myself
I
and
had,
the manager.
just for the record, I asked to.
It's okay, Mike, it's all right.
Okay, but just for the record,
Yeah.
I'd asked if it could go on the agenda, and because it was on the agenda for the workshop, but because it was on the agenda for the agenda at the town board, that's why it didn't show up as a line item here.
My thought on that is that people look at the workshop agenda, and if it's not on the workshop agenda, they don't believe they need to come to a workshop.
Right.
That's
Well,
a good-
I would
that's
assume
a good
this
point.
conversation we have upstairs when you do this agenda.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I guess this is just for additional information as to what may occur upstairs.
Okay,
Okay. Anything else on the agenda items?
I think that,
That's it.
I think giving you guys the opportunity to know part of what we're gonna talk about as well, so that you can mentally prepare for it, doesn't hurt as well, so.
Ray, do you have anything on the agenda?
That's what Rod said.
Chris?
No.
All right, let's move on to the agenda then. For the workshop. This one's done. All right. Mike, I have you down for budget discussion year to end, year to date.
Yeah, so, Nate's actually the budget guy,
Correct.
so I wasn't aware he wasn't gonna be here.
Okay.
So we need to really start getting prepped for the budget.
You will be, because right now, all the departments have put their budgets into Pam.
Okay.
Pam then summarizes all that activity and then brings it back to the board for discussion.
Right.
Actually, it doesn't do that.
Well, it goes to the
supervisor,
And then it goes
because
back.
it's required of the supervisor to present a budget.
Right,
And
so
the
you-
budget gets presented to us, and we kick it through and delete, add,
Yep.
ask department heads to come in,
Yeah.
Pam comes in, whomever we need to discuss things with.
Yeah, I'd like my economic development board this week, the last meeting, we went over our budget to, because she gave us all the sheets to give back to her, which I will do this week.
Each department's been given a budget form to fill out, and what their dreams and wishes and all that good stuff. She then compiles it all, then goes to Nate for compiling into one report, and Pam's very much involved in the whole process. And then it comes back for the board to deal with.
Yeah, so just in terms of the budget, I see two things going a little bit hand in hand, which is the future budget while looking at the current budget and just understanding, making sure that we're doing the proper planning. And, I realize we probably should have notified, Pam that we were gonna have a budget discussion.
I think she would have asked us to wait until she finalizes her budget on Friday.
The look back, not the look forward.
Okay.
So, cause
It
there's
may-
a couple
But
things
I
there.
think
that
it makes
just
more
wanted-
sense to you though, if she shows you
Yeah.
what it is and what they're proposing, you see just the,
Yeah, so what
Apple
I
to
would
apple.
really wanted to do more, as well today is, just talk about some of the changes that we're making to the budget, looking backwards wise. And just, the more we understand where we're coming from, it will help us
move
where
forward.
we're gonna go
I totally
forward.
agree.
So I think that's part of laying the foundation and.
Yeah.
Oh, we should get on it. We should
Right.
do it.
That's coming, that
But she
definitely.
had just shared, just so everyone knows, the 6 month or the most
Yeah,
recent.
she does that on a regular basis,
Right.
she gives you the budget year to date, tells
Yeah.
you what's been appropriated, what's been
So I had
spent.
a few questions on that, I just wanted to,
What was here,
yeah.
yes, her office doors open all the time.
Yeah.
Walk right
Well, I
in.
was looking that we all kind of understand it as well, just to make sure, if you know what I mean, but.
Yeah, I think it's good to recap.
Ray, you been through this 6 times now?
I'm still a rookie, so, but
Yeah.
I also think having an open discussion about it as well
Well,
is
you
good
think that was,
publicly.
we should have a daytime meeting with Pam.
Yeah,
Good idea.
All right,
Okay.
I'll put that on the,
so we need a workshop during the daytime, it sounds like. to
What is a
review
good
the-
time during the
Budget,
day?
yeah, but I think
The
I'll-
2016 budget, the look back, not the look forwards discussion.
okay.
And, gain some understanding with some of the changes we made year to date and how we should plan for that going forwards. And I know Nate's not, is Nate here this week at all then? No.
Can you guys pick a couple dates? Nate's having a meeting with Pam in 2 weeks.
Well, theoretically, we have a
We're
meeting on
meeting on the
Monday,
22nd,
Meeting the 22nd at 5:30, right?
yeah.
so
But
let's
maybe we
check
can
with
move it
Pam
earlier.
too and see if we'll want to meet with her and see what she's gonna do.
Couldn't it be covered on the 22nd?
Maybe we
If
can
we
do-
came in early, if we did a 5:30, 5 o'clock.
I mean, it's
meeting.
not gonna be long.
Yeah,
I mean, if we could do
let's do that.
4:30, I don't know if that helps Pam,
changing the time? It's not posted yet.
Yeah,
Set
let's,
to go at 5:30?
All right, is everybody okay with that?
I have a 7 o'clock parks meeting tonight, so I just gotta be out here by 6:45.
so if we could make that a 4:30 with us, start right on time so we can get Pam out of here by 5.
Mm-hmm. And then do our other workshop.
Sounds good.
Okay, we set a meeting for 4:30 on the 22nd.
On the 29th, there's no school town board meeting that night?
No.
So is we're passing on that fifth Monday?
Everybody agrees to the time?
Mhm.
Done. Good. All right, does that cover, that covers you
Yep.
on the budget and, prep?
Yep.
Good. A fundraiser for Mary Dunbar, there was a request in that we be able to use the town parking lot. We're gonna have a fundraiser at the fire hall, and the question is it okay with the town board?
Only thing I don't know is what's on the calendar. Is there anything going on in the town park?
Did you check?
No, I
Like
checked.
Zumba
What,
or
what day
whatever
is it?
the yoga
Saturday
is?
the 17th.
Saturday the 17th?
Mm-hmm.
I think the parking lot's, open to whoever gets there first.
I agree. I'm not afraid.
What,
You
is
guys
this
are ready?
September?
Right.
Is
This
it
is
September?
yoga's during the day and this is evening, so.
Is it?
What's the
17th.
Saturday the
17th.
September?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. So,
Do we need a motion for that?
No.
No, it's okay.
And no other concerns or Kaiser or anything like that?
all right, number 5, seeker for MJ Science, 2408 Bedell Road. Who's covering that? Is that the 7 o'clock meeting?
No, the negative declaration just needs to be
Yeah.
passed, I don't know if I'm saying that right, so that you can
Approved.
prove it upstairs, is that right?
Right.
What, the seeker? Yeah, we can do the seeker down here, you don't have to do it upstairs. That's just it.
Also, I entertain a motion to approve the seeker for MJ Science, 2408 Bedell Road.
So moved with no negative.
Heather,
No
there's
Issue
no-
negative declaration.
Do you have the, do you have the paperwork in front of you, Jim?
I have,
You do? I see it's in. The normal situation is to look at this and go through
And you got it.
where they have marked no on things. And I don't feel there's a need to read all this stuff. It's been done in the past.
We went over it
You
in
know,
the planning board.
as you go through each of these things, I'll pick one. Does the site of the proposed action contain any species of animal or associated habitats listed by the state or federal government as threatened or endangered? Yes. And if they check yes, you gotta go to the narrative and it tells you what. If it's checked no, then it's no. Minimal or no impacts are essentially what the story's all about. And knowing that, then I would be comfortable issuing a negative declaration. But I'm not comfortable issuing any kind of declaration without knowing what's in that packet.
Okay, do you want to table it this time?
No. Just needed to look at that packet to see that it was minimal or no
And if you
impacts.
wanna see it, I have it here too. I've already
do you want
looked
Bob
at
to
it.
give you copies moving forward?
No, what can happen is that can go to the supervisor, and the supervisor, when it's secret time, if it's all no's or minimal, can say that. If there's something that's, needs to be explained, yeah, there was an archaeological find, and so, and we would get schooled by the engineering department to say, no, this is, might not be a negative deck, you guys, you gotta think about this one.
I did speak to Bob Westfall before the meeting and gone through, and he says it's good to go.
Yeah,
And I did too,
that's the normal
and
situation.
it was at, before the planning board, and they did too as well, so, for your information.
So the standard language for that is we approve the negative declaration.
Issue negative.
Issue a negative declaration for
JM
And
Science,
for
24.
Hill Road, yeah, you take care of that.
And that was the motion I made.
I have Kenny,
Second.
Phil,
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All right, the next one though, this is Country Road, Country Club Drive. They're dedicating this over to the town of Grand Island. I do not have the specifics on this, other than I do have the resolutions.
You all received all that information from Alex and Russ on this?
From the attorneys.
Was-
You wanna wait till 7 o'clock for the attorney to discuss
Yeah,
it?
this is the one that, I sent out and asked if it was okay to put it on here, because Alex and Russ. Yeah,
Oh, yeah,
It's the
that
last
was,
minute
it's,
one.
okay, yeah.
it's kind of just a formality.
Yes, all the legal terms and everything, they put in, the town accepts it,
Yeah.
the whole business, yeah.
So I think you
It's
just
been-
have to
it's
pass a motion.
It's been signed off by every agency except for us at this point. Now, everything's been done on their side, now it's up to us.
So motion is to accept the dedication of Country Club Cottage Drive.
Yep.
Okay.
And that's not an exception or anything, no legal issues.
I always get the paperwork from the attorneys.
Well, let's wait till Peter gets here. When Peter gets here, we
Yeah,
can
That's
ask him a question.
usually done
He'll shoot
upstairs
me here
and
any
with
minute.
a gob of paperwork
It is?
and.
Well,
Road
the-
dedication?
Let's wait
Yeah.
for that.
Oh, yeah.
Okay,
I,
I'll remember because it's usually just the, rubber stamp one.
well, it is, but usually I get the whole packet of
Okay,
stuff
well,
from the.
let's wait till Peter
from,
gets here and ask him a question.
someone
Here's
from
Here's the
the
two,
last
here's the two
one.
documents that are required.
I didn't get in
And
there.
I,
That's,
Yeah.
can I see that?
Sure.
That's usually what I'm talking about. And then we have to sign off on,
Highway signed off on it, the project signed off, the landowners signed off on it, so.
I think it was all last year. that
Was
it
last
all
year was taken care of?
taken care of.
Doesn't matter.
are they reapproving it?
No, I think that they've been, taking care of the issues between highway department and the Sticko, I believe is the contractors? Yeah, and, they've all signed off of saying the highway department saying, yep, they met all our requirements and we're satisfied. Property owner saying, we're ready to release, and now it's up to the town board to receive. And this was, started last year.
Patty, I'm sending you all the
Yeah, I was
backup
gonna say, could I
information.
just request that you
Well,
guys
we
get
can-
stuff like that, that I.
You wanna wait
can
until
CC?
Peter gets?
No,
wait
I
till
just,
Peter
this
gets
is you, this is.
Let's just make
Yeah,
sure.
this was,
I don't know what Patty needs, so.
All this,
We need to make
yeah.
sure that you have what you need.
I just sent it to you.
Yeah.
And it's Seth Pullen from Hodgson and Russ, maybe he didn't know to CC you on all of it.
Yeah,
I've
that's a
never
new
heard that.
name. That's a
Wasn't
new
it?
name.
Yeah.
I've never heard of him.
All right,
Whichever.
we'll table this until, Peter gets here. With that, I'd like to move into an executive session to talk about the park and play issue.
Do we need to wait for Peter for that as well?
I think you can, we don't need to wait for Peter to get a lot of background information. We may need Peter